Welcome back, everybody. We finally got a good look at State of Decay 3 at the game showcase last weekend with this trailer that's playing right now. At the same time, an in-depth interview with Undead Labs creative director came out that explains a lot about the game in detail. And since then, almost every day there's been new content. There have been player council streams, there was a podcast, there have been comments on Reddit and Discord, and just a lot of stuff all over, plus all the old trailers and videos and articles. So I'm going to try to collate all that stuff into one somewhat quick video where I explain what we know about State of Decay 3. So let's hop in. First up is multiplayer. It has been repeatedly confirmed that State of Decay 3 will not have the terrible co-op tethering system from State of Decay 2, which is awesome news. Everybody hated that. It was one of the most requested things that I saw for State of Decay 3. Beyond that, worlds will be truly co-op for up to 4 players total. So let's say I'm the host and I'm playing with some friends. We can all go in different directions. Maybe I don't know the map, but I go north, someone goes south, another person goes east. We all do our separate things, and then we're going to take out a plague nest, which is what's being shown in the trailer. We all come together and we go fight it together. That sounds awesome. Also, it allows for asynchronous play, which means you don't need the host there or anybody else there in order to play. So I could play by myself, and then I leave, and then maybe one of my friends can log in and play as well. And they don't need me there, AFK, just hosting the world like you need to in some games. It's gonna be totally asynchronous. It'll be awesome from what it sounds like. But don't worry, while multiplayer is a priority, solo play is not going to suffer. Everything will be doable and playable solo, and it's also confirmed that single player offline mode will be present as well. So that is great news. Next up is the zombie threat itself and how it has changed and evolved since State of Decay 2. Philip Holt, the head of Undead Labs, has called back to the heart attack update several times. Now, the heart attack update, if you don't recall, that's the update that let hearts be dormant, and then when you get close to them and kill some zombies, they wake up. They'll send out infestation hordes, and a chain of infestations will slowly form, leading to your base, where they will eventually siege your base and literally attack your base. Incredible update, one of the best ones for the, all of State of Decay 2. And Kevin Patzelt, who's the creative director of Undead Labs, says that plague nests are the next evolution of that experience. That has me so incredibly hyped. I love I love it. And added on to that, they seem to have something called personas, sort of like a different personality for different personality options, I'll say, for different nests. So, for example, one might, expand really quickly, and one might, really defensively guard itself up, making it, if you let it last too long, it'll be a really, really hard fight, but it's not actively threatening you too much. So different nests will call for different answers, which is just really, really cool in my opinion. And since it's random, it won't be like it says no two saves are ever going to play the same. You and your friend, might experience the game very differently because a certain nest has a certain persona that has just totally changed the way you approach it. I think that just all sounds incredible. I can't wait. But leading to the plague nest that we see in the trailer itself, and now I don't know if this is just one form. It mentions in the article with Kevin Patzelt that different personas might have different forms and behavior sets. I don't know if what we see is going to be stereotypical or if it's just one possible example of a plague nest. But what we did see was blisters, which I think are the explosive pods that are that you see throughout the trailer. There are also weak points that you must be killed in order to expose the heart. And then there are spitters, which I think are going to be the things that seem to be shooting out gas at the survivors. Again, I don't know if that's the only, is that all plague nests, or is that one type of plague nest? I don't know. And the fact that I don't know, I think is incredibly cool. Yeah, I'm really loving that. Now, plague nests will respawn over time, according to Brian Menard on the player council, and I'll come back to why I think that is a little bit later. But yeah, so I don't know how I feel about respawning. I liked in State of Decay 2, you could just kind of clear the map and own the map and dominate the map. So we'll see about that. Yeah, so let's go to freaks. There are no new freaks in State of Decay 3, but they all have evolved, at least their visuals, somewhat since State of Decay 2. The most changes, at least as far as I've seen, is bloaters. They can spit now, which is huge. They will still charge you and try to explode on you. But as you can see in the trailer, they actually won't just die to one bullet like in State of Decay 2, and I think State of Decay 1 as well. They might actually tank some number of bullets, which makes them very scary. If they're, charging you and don't just get dropped, that's very dangerous. Screamers seem to be pretty similar to State of Decay 2. Brian says that they're very dangerous to leave alone, so he targets them pretty highly. And I feel like that is, similar to State of Decay 2. If you leave the Screamer alive, they'll call in allies, and you just rather not have more zombies and more freaks pulled in, so kill those very quickly. The Feral, still very fast, still very dangerous, but has had according to Brian, but has had a visual overhaul. I think they do look pretty cool, but I did really like the design from State of Decay 2. So I'm unsure of this design change, but I mean that's the least of things to worry about. As long as they're fun to fight and very dangerous, which they seem to be, I think I'll be fine with it. Then we've only seen very little bits of the Jug in the trailer 2 years ago. We saw one kind of in the shadows as they crossed the bridge at the very end of the trailer, and in the trailer just last week, we saw like his backside, and I think we saw him on his knees at the end after the cassette exploded, which we don't have much to go on from there, but according to Brian Menard, they're still a force to be reckoned with, and he also seemed to imply that you can no longer cheese them very easily with a car. So those are both great, but also scary pieces of information. I think in State of Decay 2, it was, there was, unless the Jug was like between you and your objective, it was just always better to avoid them. I wonder if that will continue to be the same situation. Beyond the freaks, the regular zombies also seem to vary somewhat. There will be weak, slow zombies that have been decaying for some time, still pose a threat if they get up close to you, but as long as you can keep your distance, they shouldn't be a problem. There will be fast, fresh zombies that will chase after you and can quickly surround you, so you need to take care of them very quickly so you don't get surrounded. There will be armored zombies that also seem to be pretty fast. If they're anything like State of Decay 1 and 2, they will be able to eat bullets a lot, so that, typical good answer to regular zombies is not going to be there. So you'll have to, be ready to melee them or expend a lot of ammunition to take them down. And finally, plague zombies, which, again, we're in State of Decay 2, but from Brian Menard's zombie video that he put out on Friday, seems to have some new capabilities. I don't know exactly what that means, but he said they were fast and very dangerous in more than just like being fast, in more ways than just being fast and hitting hard. So I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm very interested to find out what they can do. The next topic to take a look at is the map of State of Decay 3. Now, it will be 4 times the size of any one map of State of Decay 2. And that is great. That's awesome. I love that. But the downside is that there will only be one map at launch, which I am not a fan of. I think that's a pretty big downside. Now, it is technically more map space at launch than we had in State of Decay 2. One map that's 4 times the size versus 3 maps, that's bigger. But the change in environments and the feel of the different maps was huge in replayability, I feel like. So, imagine Drucker County with its sandy, rocky terrain versus, the grassy plains of Meager Valley. Like, it felt very different to play on those 2 maps. So, I don't know that you can have those 2 areas. Like, you can't really just like put a bridge between Drucker County and Meager Valley and have it feel natural, I don't think. So I feel like a lot of the map, what it'll be larger, but a lot of the map might feel somewhat similar, which is a downside. But hopefully another map comes out soon after launch. I don't know. But that does bring me to, earlier I said Nest will respawn. I think this is why Nest will respawn. In State of Decay 2, you could just switch maps after you kill all the hearts. That doesn't seem like that will be an option. Maybe there will be a way to, reset your map and, get all the loot back, reset all the nests to their initial states or whatever. But that's unknown. So we need the nest to respawn to make a long-term community actually have stuff to do after, let's say 50 hours of gameplay or whatever. Yeah, so big upside, but also big downside in that category. Next up, we have community management, which I'm especially excited for. It's one of my favorite parts of the previous two games, and all the news here seems really good. First up, we have the fact that we'll be able to take 3 settlements or bases per community, which sounds awesome. And especially given the much larger map size, having the safe zones spread out across the map that we can go back to and refuel, regear, that sort of thing, seems really good. Also, I believe this part is conjecture, that it will increase the survivor cap. If you could only have 12 people, like in State of Decay 2, that would only be 4 people per base. That seems very low. The trailer showed a base with like 5 or 6 people running around, and it seemed like a normal, decently sized base. If we could only have 4 people, that doesn't make sense to me, right? So it is a guess, but I feel like it's a pretty logical guess that the cap will be increased. So that is very good news too. Everyone hated the cap in State of Decay 2. Next up is tech trees. Unfortunately, people are pretty tight-lipped around this. I have no idea what this looks like or what it will entail, but some sort of unlock system to get maybe new facilities, new buildings, new bonuses. I don't know. But I do like tech trees in community management games in general, so I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. Finally, we have a look at what the actual resources in the game will be, the major resources. So in Brian Menard's Instagram video from the 12th, you can see the screen and see the resources across the top. Now, it is very pixelated, but a couple of us on the Undead Labs Discord had some guesses. We were talking about it. Coconut here is on the player council. He's a moderator, and he's been playing this the pre-alpha for like a year, so he knows what he's talking about. I believe that's food, water, medicine or chemicals, materials, parts, fuel, and power. Now, that last one is really hard to see in my opinion. Gouda Buddha suggested it was power, and Coconut replied with eyes and a lightning bolt, which I think confirms that it's power. And then Lubu gave a guess that is very similar to mine, except putting medicine instead of power. And Coconut says that's so close. So I think that confirms, maybe not confirms, but it's at least a really good guess, what I just said. So I think that's all really promising, and I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it. Next up is probably the second most requested feature that I've seen for State of Decay 3, which is weather. Rain has been confirmed, and it seems like we've had snow teased in, I think, some of the screenshots from all the different sources. Maybe one of the old videos. The first video definitely had snow, but I think that video is kind of to be disregarded, non-canon. The downside of this is we don't know how much functionality the weather will have at launch. Currently, according to Philip Holt, who is, again, the Undead Labs head, he says that rain already has effect on vehicle handling now, but he can't confirm how much functionality will be in the game at launch. I don't love that answer, because of course I'd just rather have all the stuff in game at launch, but State of Decay 2 did have an incredibly long lifespan of free updates, free content that made the game just better all the way along. So while I don't love it, I do feel like I trust Undead Labs a little bit more than just any other random company when it comes to talking about post-launch content. So good news, but it could be a little bit better in my opinion. Next up is the release window for State of Decay 3, which is a very vague 2027, which is unfortunate that it will be so long, but it's somewhat understandable. They still have, you want the game to be done when you release it. So yeah, it takes time to make a really good game. We do know that Fable is releasing at the end of February, and since it's also a first-party Microsoft game, I don't think that Undead Labs will release probably within a month of that. That's not confirmed. That's just my conjecture. But yeah, my guess is that April or May is basically the soonest that Undead Labs will release State of Decay 3. Again, it's unfortunate that it's so far away, but I'd rather the game have as much time as it needs to be done rather than putting it out early like they did with State of Decay 2 and then, having all those bad initial reviews and having to kind of make up ground and repair their image for so long. I think really hurt State of Decay 2. The great news, though, is that State of Decay 3 will be coming to Xbox, Steam, and PlayStation 5. So all the PlayStation fanboys get to play as well. I think that's great. More customers hopefully means more content in the long run. Bigger audience means more support, more content. I think that helps everybody. So I'm really loving that. That's really good news. On to the second wave of the alpha. According to Sunny, the next alpha will be very, very soon and should have like 10 times as many members as the first alpha. So make sure you're signed up. It will still be PC only, but yeah, make sure you're signed up so you have a chance of getting that. Console players won't be able to play, unfortunately, until the beta starts. We have no idea when that will be. According to Philip Holt, in that stream from Sunny, the beta will not be open to everybody, but yeah, it'll be invite only. So be sure to sign up so that you can get an invite and you can get your hands on it as early as possible and help shape the game to be as awesome as possible. And the last thing to talk about is that gameplay videos seem to be coming out very, very soon. I don't have inside information about this, but Jay Talbot put out a short where he talked about recording gameplay at the Undead Labs headquarters this past weekend with Brian Menard. I think Sunny might, I'm not 100% sure if Sunny's also putting out a gameplay video, but be sure to follow all three of them. They're the three content creator council members, player council members. So be sure to follow them. I have their links in the description and see that gameplay because I can't wait to see what they have to show off when it's not edited into a trailer to look as cinematic as possible. Thank you all for watching. Let me know if there's anything that I missed. There's just a lot of information out there. I'm sure I've missed something. Also, let me know if there's anything you're especially excited for. Do you like the fact that there's a huge map, that you can have 3 bases, that there are now plague nests? I don't know. I don't know if there's any one thing. I'm excited for everything. But thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you guys next time.